stand up strong. All my girls, I wish you with me. It's right on with me. There ain't nothing like it. The black girl magic, black girl magic, black girl magic.
What's going on, tribe? My name is Nicole.
And my name is Kia, and we are the co-founders of Glamourina.
Yes, Glamourina is an inclusive women's lifestyle brand specializing in culturally inspired activewear, intentionally designed to complement all complexions and body types. Our mission is to provide a safe space in health and wellness where every body belongs.
Yes, and welcome to Behind Glamourina, Moms on a Mission podcast, where we discuss how we balance being successful Black women entrepreneurs, working our 9-to-5 jobs, motherhood, taking care of our children, self-care, and everything in between.
Yes, in every single episode, we always do a mental health check-in. We like to check in with each other, see how we're doing mentally, check in with our audience, and make sure and remind you to do the same thing. And so before we get started, we want to just do a mental health check-in. And we have a special guest that we'll introduce, a little bit later, but I do want to ask her, Sonja, how are you doing mentally? Where are you? We just want to do a mental health check-in with you today. Just How are you feeling?
Well, thank you for asking. Actually, I'm doing very well.
Great.
This is the first time in my 54 years life. Not that I haven't had times where I was feeling happy and great, but this time in my life at 54 is pretty exceptional, and I'm very happy.
Amazing. I love that. It's always good to just check in, mentally, how are you doing? Sometimes people don't ask you that, and it's with everything in life. We just want to have that moment. And Kia, we do this every week. How are you feeling?
Thank you for sharing that, Sonja. And yes, we will introduce our special guest today in just a few seconds. Mentally, I'm actually doing pretty good as well. I can't complain. I feel like whenever there's sunshine and warm weather, I always feel good mentally. School is out. I'm a teacher, so I've been mentioning that a lot of episodes. School's out, and I just feel like I'm at in a space where I can take a deep breath and kind of relax. My daughter's out of town with her dad, and so I'm here by myself, and it's like I'm trying to enjoy the peace and quiet, but then I'm like, I feel like I should be doing something. So I'm just trying to give myself some grace to just chill, like not do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I am. How about you, Nicole?
Good. I'm doing okay. It's good to know that you both are in a good space today mentally. I'm in a good space too. I mean, Kia, I've talked about this a lot this year. I was telling Sonja before we started recording, this year has been super, super transitional for me, like so many unexpected changes. And I've had this anxiety all year, like, what next? What next? What's going to happen next? What's going to try to break me next? But I think this week, I'm in a great space. Things are much better than they were months ago. And I think for that, I'm grateful. And that puts me in like a state of calmness, balance, and just looking forward to what's next. So I'm doing good too.
Yeah, it always feels good when you're kind of coming out of the storm.
Exactly.
You see the light outside of the storm. So that's great. I'm glad.
Exactly. Thank you. And you guys, let us know if you are watching this on YouTube. Check in the comment section. Let us know how you're doing mentally as well. And We're going to go ahead and dive into today's episode. So we're super, super excited because we have a special guest joining us. We kind of mentioned our friend, our longtime supporter, founder of Black Girls Pilates, Miss Sonja Herbert.
Yes, we are so excited to have Sonja join us today. You are our first guest. We just started this podcast. I think our first episode was in February.
Yep.
And so you are our first guest for our first season. Let's start with just a little bio on Sonja to give you all some background on how we have come to know her. Sonja is a New York-based writer, speaker, and classically trained Pilates instructor. She fuses teaching methods to meet the varying needs of her clients, who range from current and former athletes to people who strive simply to be fit in everyday life. She is the founder and creator, as we mentioned, of Black Girls Pilates. BGP is a platform highlighting and supporting Black Afro-Latina Pilates instructors, as well as a panel of the best female-identified instructors/trainers discussing the importance and impact of health, fitness, and wellness for the Black female community. Welcome, Sonja.
Yeah, thank you both. I feel honored that I'm your first guest of all people. There's lots of amazing folks out here. Not that I'm not amazing, but I feel honored that you would even ask me. And I've always admired the work that you both do, and just watching you grow over the years that we've known each other, which is basically when we both started.
Yes.
So it's like we grew up together, Now, what I want to do, I want to apologize for the bio that I sent you, because a lot of it is true. And there's other things that's not true anymore. I was a New York-based Pilates instructor, but I'm now an Atlanta-based.
That's right.
So I'm in the hot Atlanta, the ATL.
All right now.
The play. So I've been here for about a year and a half. I'm still teaching Pilates more in a pop-up form, kind of, but I'm also doing it's not everything. I have three things that are my loves all at the same time. So Pilates is my love, fitness, social work, which is what I am as a career as well, and then music, because I'm also a singer, but I haven't been singing necessarily.
Wow.
So I have all those things that I'm doing. So I'm in social work right now, just sort of doing the pop-up thing with the Pilates thing, just trying to get Black Girl Pilates out here and letting people know, that we're out here. So there's that. So yeah, and there's so many things that have changed since that bio. Because now, I was a writer. I still am a writer, but I'm also an author now.
Okay, yay, congratulations.
Yes, I'm a co-author with a bunch of amazing fitness professionals, and I can, also talk about that book if you want to hear more about it. I actually have it.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'll just keep it there to the side. Okay. Again, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yep. And kind of as Sonja mentioned, we had the pleasure of meeting her back in about 2017. We had launched our very first collection, the Kente collection. Kia and I were so very new. We didn't have any toes. We're self-taught entrepreneurs, as most people know. And I think we met Sonja through probably social media. And then she invited us down or up to New York City to do a pop-up at one of her Pilates events. It was like a meetup at the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater. And she gave us an opportunity to showcase the collection. We had no idea what we were doing, but we were like, this is great. We're going to go and do this pop-up. And we're just super excited to connect with someone outside of our city and just be given an opportunity. So thank you so much for that. Not knowing that you were just starting as well. But we were just super excited to connect. And here we are all these years later. And, we're both doing great. We're all still thriving. And so just wanted to give people a little bit of background on just kind of how we met. And, now we can get into the growth and what you've been doing over the years.
Absolutely. And I want to say, I think that was one of our first pop-ups, perhaps, when we went to New York. And it was definitely a huge learning experience for Nicole and I. I mean, we talk about this all the time. We discuss and reflect our growth and where we started. You invited us, so we didn't know what to do. We packed up this huge suitcase of our apparel because we wasn't sure how we were going to sell it, we got on a bus and went all the way up to New York, and it was great, honestly. I mean, looking back, we can see where we could have done some things differently, maybe packed lighter, just all of that. But a lot of the women in your group, they had purchased from us and have become lifelong customers and followers. I mean, we have one particular woman, Aisha, who I believe is part of the Black Girls Pilates. Yes, she's
actually not, but she's just a really close friend of mine.
Okay.
And she's my best friend, so I consider her best friend. But yes, she's a yoga instructor. She loves y'all. She has all y'all stuff.
Yeah, she has been, again, just like you, she's been one of our customers from the beginning. So I know we met her through you and Black Girls Pilates. And she became an ambassador for Glamourina. She was one of our top sellers. I mean, just the relationships and connections that we've made just from meeting you, Sonja, has been amazing for Glamourina. So I just wanted to kind of throw that in there. All right. So I would like for you to tell us just a little bit about Black Girls Pilates, kind of, how you got started. BGP has been breaking down barriers in the Pilates space. You in your bio said you have all identified and dismantled spaces where we are not included and have shown that Black women participate in activities like Pilates. So what made you want to start Black Girls Pilates?
Well, I think it started back when I first took a Pilates class, which I did not know what it was. I had no clue. And my daughter is a former dancer. So she danced
Mm.
at Harlem School of the Arts. So she had been
Wow.
dancing since 6 years old until she left high school. And then she completely retired. And her teacher, who was one of the favorites there, Cynthia Shipley, was teaching this class called Pilates. I was also an assistant teacher there for a couple of years. And one of
Mhm.
my friends that I assistant taught with, I was his assistant. He told me about her class. And he said, "Oh, you should come." And I was like, "Well, what is it?" He says, "Pilates." I said, "I've never heard of it. What do you do?" And he's like, "It was
Mhm.
about your core." And I was like, "Okay, well, I think I have a strong core, but all right, I guess I'll come." So I went, and he was actually her demonstrator. So,
Mm.
I was just like, "Oh my God, he looks great." And I mean, he's an amazing dancer. There's that, but amazing mover. And so I was
Mhm.
like, wow, well, I can do this, because I'm competitive. So we get in the class, and oh, it was so hard to do a lot of those exercises. And me being the
Mhm.
competitor that I am, I said, I'm going
Mhm.
to keep going because I also liked the way that it made my body feel. So
Mm.
I kept going twice a week. Um, I was seeing a chiropractor at the time because I was having some hip issues.
Mhm.
And so I told him, I said, "Hey, I started going to this class called Pilates, but I feel great." And he's like, "Great. Keep going there twice a week and see me once a week. Your body's going to change." Okay. And he was right. And I was
Mhm.
like, "So what is this miracle exercise method?" So I
Mhm.
started talking to Cynthia about it. And I said, I think I want to get certified in this because I wanted to do something in fitness. I just didn't know what. And so
Right.
it's I found it. So I ended up getting certified in MAT in 26, no, sorry, in 2006. And then I got comprehensively certified on all the equipment the following year in 2007. So
Nice.
I wanted to bring this particular fitness method to the Black community because I had never heard of it. And I was like, I don't even think Black
Mhm.
people have heard of it. But I was being
Mhm.
taught by a Black woman in a Black school with Black people. And I just thought it was
Wow.
something that Black folks needed to know about. So, after I got certified, I started teaching in Harlem. And I guess one of my first clients was Black. Everybody else, though, I think I had a couple of Israeli ladies who I still know and friends with this day. Um, but as the years moved on, I really didn't see a lot of myself within the industry. And I wondered, are we out there at all? Because this is great. I only knew my teacher and like another teacher trainer. And eventually I did meet a few people, but I was like, is this it? So fast forward, I met Diane Harvey Salam, who is the co-director and founder of Forces of Nature Dance Theater with her husband, Abdel, in New York City. And she had invited me to a memorial for Kathleen Stanford Grant, who I can talk
Mhm.
about later, um, who I found out was the only and first Black instructor ever
Wow.
before we were thought about. Um, and so I couldn't come. But she had also told me that she was kind of starting this group called Pilates Instructors of Color. And I was like, that's what I want to be a part of. But I didn't feel like I needed to lead anything like that because I was like, I'm still a baby in Pilates, whatever. So I started going to their meetings, and everybody that was there was still kind of like dancing and choreographing and all that stuff. And so we weren't able to continue it, but I still kind of kept it in the back of my head. But that group itself was my whole inspiration to start Black Girl Pilates. And I always say that they are the beginning. Diane Harvey, Sarita Allen, Marcia Dater, Dallas
Mhm.
Fuentes, they are all the beginnings of, or I would say the mothers of Black Girl Pilates. And so they just
Mhm.
kind of took me in as their child. I still consider them all my moms. They're wonderful. Still keep in contact with them. They're part of Black Girl Pilates, and have given to us so much. So they are the mothers of it. And I guess I'm the daughter. So, and I just continued the legacy of what they had started.
Mm.
And so on May 27th, 2017, right after a breakup, it's amazing what Black women do after breaking up with somebody.
Yes.
I decided that I was going to go looking for these people. And I found a lot of them, started a forum for instructors. And before I knew it, I had like 80 by June. And it just kept
Wow.
growing.
Mm.
And then our name got out there in some
Mhm.
really great ways and some not so great ways. Um, and so, here we are years later with instructors, all over the world. I'm meeting somebody new, I feel like all the time.
Mhm.
We have a tribe group, which is probably almost 2,000 people in it because people keep joining
Wow.
every day.
Mhm.
And that's mostly for, Black women, gender nonconforming, I would say, femmes who are interested in Pilates or meeting an instructor or becoming an instructor, all kinds of things, learning about Pilates. So it's growing every day. And there's so much more I could talk about, but I'm sure you're probably going to ask those questions. But that's pretty much how it started. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing, Sonia. I found it really interesting, that you discuss creating this space for Black women. Because you're right. I feel like years ago, I never heard of Pilates, and if I had, it's not something that I would equate as Black women doing. Similar to
Mm.
yoga and some of the other, exercises and fitness spaces where I just never feel like Black people, Black women particularly. Not that we didn't belong, that there was just no space for us to go and feel comfortable. So I think that's amazing. Can you tell our audience, like, what is Pilates? What type of exercise is that?
Every time somebody asks me that question, I'm like, huh. Right. And I think any instructor that you would ask, they would also have the same issue because it's so much more than what we can describe.
Mhm.
But I guess the best way that I can describe it is, so if when you think about a house, right? So what the house sits on top of is a foundation. So if the foundation cracks, nothing works. The pipes don't work. The house can't stand up. Nothing can
Mhm.
happen, right? But if the foundation is strong, then the house can be strong, right? It can be strong against all the extremities, whatever's happening in the weather, all kinds of things. So Pilates is about building a strong foundation, which is our core body, which is our torso, front and back, so that everything
Okay.
can work efficiently. So it's about strength, it's about mobility, it's about flexibility, all in one. And what makes us different from yoga is that, one, we're an exercise method. Two, we're not spiritual, but there is a spiritual component
Right.
individually, I feel like. And
Mhm.
three, we use mat and we use equipment. So it's a full on method. And
Mhm.
it's so vast with exercises and things that you could do. But, outside of like yoga, where there's specific
Mhm.
exercises, we do have specific exercises, but it's so much more expansive than that. Not saying that it's better than yoga. And
Mhm.
the thing that makes Pilates different than any exercise method is that there's nothing that can help you do Pilates better. Nothing. There's no
Mhm.
exercise method at all, but Pilates can help you do everything else
Hmm.
better, which makes it extremely unique because most exercise methods, like, oh, if I do this, then that's going to help me do that. If I do this, that's going to help
Right.
me do this exercise method. But there's nothing out there that's going to help you do Pilates better. You actually have to do it. And then it's going to help you do all the other things
Yeah.
better.
Mm.
So that's how I would describe it to people,
Yeah.
so they could get a visual of what
Mhm.
it's going to do. for them.
I love it. And I love how you described
Amazing.
it as kind of the foundation. I think that's
Mhm.
super important. And I think with people like you and different groups, as Kia mentioned, me back in the day, I probably would have known what Pilates was either. But I think,
Right.
now in 2023, there are a lot more people talking about Pilates, a lot more Black women. Lori Harvey was saying, that's how her body is the way it is. So it's more prominent. And I think we have to attribute that to a lot of groups, especially groups like what you have, to really
Yes.
put the narrative out there, put Black people, Black women in that narrative, in that space. So we can, we're more aware that this is an option for us. And again, it's the foundation, right? So it can help us with a lot of potential problems, potential issues we may have with our body.
Yeah.
So Sonja, there's a conference you're doing. Is this your first conference? Can you tell us a little bit about this Black Girls Pilates conference that you're having, details, how people can sign up, all of that good stuff?
This is not our first. Actually, the first one we did was with you guys. So,
Okay.
Wow.
yeah, that was the first one. It was like a meetup. It was almost sort of kind of informal, but a way to just get together because we had just met each other. And so I think this one will be, because we didn't have one last year. And the other ones were virtual. So I guess this would be maybe our sixth one, but it's going to be our first one in Atlanta, since that's where I am.
Nice.
So July 29th and 30th, we will have I would say a very small conference, because the most people we're going to have is about 50. So that's small. So we're going to have 2 mat classes, we're going to have 2 workshops, and we're going to have a panel.
Nice.
So typically the conferences are just for instructors, but because people have found out about us, and I'm thankful to Lori Harvey for at least a good majority of it, for introducing and just kind of putting it out there for Black folks. I'm opening it up to everybody Black. So if you're an enthusiast, if you're curious about it, if you're an instructor, an apprentice, you own a studio, you're just thinking about it or whatever, or you're just, let me just go see what it is, I'm inviting all the Black folks, all gender, expressions, everything, to come to the conference, because I want us all to experience what Pilates is like from a Black perspective. So we will be having our conference at U Studios. ATL is a Black woman-owned space. Very, very beautiful. You ladies will be you'll have a giveaway like you did the last time. Everybody's going to be fighting over that giveaway. So hopefully you'll be able to make it out. I know you're really busy. But yeah, this is the first year that I'm actually going to be teaching a class and a workshop. They've been trying to get me to do it for years. And I was like, no, just let y'all go to the front, very fake humble. And so you have to stop doing that. So I decided this time I'm going to put myself out there. So I'm going to do a workshop, and I'm going to be teaching a class. And then I have some other wonderful friends of mine who are going to be teaching a workshop and a class. And then we have some amazing panel members going to be talking about the importance of branding for Pilates instructors, for Black Pilates instructors. And so even though that's about Black Pilates instructors, it could be, you could take it for whatever you like, because we're all kind of our own brand. But I'm very excited about the conference. Again, it's very small, on purpose. And, we're slowly kind of filling up. So I'm excited about it. And thank you both for wanting to participate again after all these years.
I know. And I believe we had the pleasure of meeting Sarita Allen the first time we met you in New York.
Yes.
And I think she had won the giveaway. Such a sweet lady. So again, this conference is in Atlanta. It's July 29th and 30th. And how can people sign up? Should they just go to blackgirlpilates.com? Can they find it on Eventbrite?
Yes. They can find it on Eventbrite. So if you go on our Instagram, you can look in the bio and it's there. Right now, we are doing a ticket special, 10% off the registration. So yeah, get signed up and come on out, bring your mat. It's going to be a lot of fun with a bunch of
Mm.
Black people. I want to have a Soul Train line at the end because that's how we
Oh,
do.
yes.
Love it. Nice. And what we'll
Yeah.
do is we'll put the links in the different
Mhm.
platforms to post so people can, as we talk about it, people can click on the links as well to register. If hopefully by then, there's still space. But we'll put the
Yeah.
information out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Sonja, with Pilates, do you guys do like a beginners, like an intermediate and advanced classes? For someone like myself, I'm not flexible at all. So I imagine I would be in the very beginners, but do you guys like separate your classes like that?
Classes, typically, yes, especially if someone is new. Now, I will say this about me. So I have always taught open classes, and open classes is like open. So it could be someone who has never done Pilates in their entire life to someone who has, been doing Pilates and they actually can do the exercises because I've met people
Yeah.
who said they danced and they had no clue. Um, so I have gotten used to over the 16, 17 years I've been teaching is teaching everybody. So with my class, I've had everybody from I've never done, I don't even know what this is, to I've been doing it for a long time. So I would say my classes are not necessarily like beginner, intermediate, and advanced, but your typical Pilates studio would probably have, like foundational, beginner, so you can feel a little bit more comfortable, and then intermediate, and then, maybe advanced, maybe open. Um, but I've always liked the open concept because I like working with a bunch of different people all at
Yeah.
the time. I was kind of thrown into it, and then I realized that I really liked the challenge. So, but believe it or not, just because you never done it doesn't mean that you can't necessarily do it, because I have had some amazing students who have never done anything in their
Yeah.
life, nothing close to Pilates, and they were amazing. They had a
Nice.
wonderful connection to their bodies. You don't have to be flexible or whatever. You come
Yeah.
to exercise to become strong, to
Right.
become stronger, or to become more flexible and mobile.
Right.
So it's fine if you are not, because I mean, I'm not 1,000% there as a teacher. So, but it's fine. You can join Pilates at any time of your life and at any point in your fitness journey. So,
Wonderful.
mhm.
That's great. And I know you said, so you don't just do Black Girls Pilates full time, you're also social worker. So you have a 9 to 5 job as well as running the business. Like Nicole and I, not that 9 to 5 and running the business. So, a lot of people always ask us when we're interviewed. So I just want to, extend you the same question. How do you balance working and running your business and being an entrepreneur?
Well, I have to say that this is the first year that I've had to do that, because before, I was out of social work for about 12 years teaching full time. So I was teaching Pilates full time and running Black Girl Pilates, which was kind of an easy balance, right? My kids were still, they were probably teenagers at the time. Now they're full on grown adults. So now that I'm back in social work almost for a year, but I've also added things onto my plate. So I don't have my kids anymore because they're 24 and 30 now. Can't believe I have kids that old.
Wow.
So I have a full-time job in social work, which I love, but I'm also in graduate school for my master's in social work. Yeah. I'm also doing an internship, 16 hours a week, on top of running Black Girl Pilates and then my own LLC, the Black Fitness Project. So yeah, let's see the balance.
You're juggling a lot.
I'm juggling a lot. That's a typical Sagittarius thing. We love a lot of things. We love to do a lot of things. Sometimes we get really overwhelmed. So I have to take out time to sort of like pull back for a moment. I can't say that I've always been perfect at it. I'm still not, to be honest. I could do a lot better. But some of the things that I have done is I'm not on social media as much as I used to be. I used to do a lot of lives, things like that. I still do them from time to time, but not as often. I get
Mhm.
on posts, probably. I do scroll them. Yeah. But I'm not present there all the time. Um, I wish I could say that I'm reading books, but I don't have time to read books other than social work books. Um, I really enjoy watching movies. I'm a big serial killer fan, not documentaries, but like movies, foreign serial killer movies. I love reality shows, love and hip
Mhm.
hop. Those are my shows. Um, I take naps probably more than I have in a while because I'm doing 60,000 things.
Mhm.
I talk to my mom a lot.
Mhm.
And yeah, I have a therapist, which I've been with her since 2019. So I've
Mhm.
had her for a while. So that's helpful. Um, so, I guess there's just a myriad of different things that I do. My favorite thing is sleeping. Um, um, I let myself have things that if I'm
Mhm.
craving them, because I don't believe in depriving yourself of food that you want,
Yeah.
unless, the doctor says, like, if you eat this, you're going to die.
Mhm.
Um, so if I want corn dogs, which I have in my freezer from Trader Joe's yesterday, I'll go have a corn dog. I'll have as many corn dogs as I want. If I want some mac and cheese, I'll go have that.
Mhm.
And then once I have it, that's all. That's it. Like I satisfy the craving, and
Yeah.
that's it. Um, so yeah, so those are things that I do. I can't say that it's a, there's a structure, and like every Sunday I do a Sunday
Right.
routine.
Like a special formula.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I light a candle and get up and open the windows and
Yeah.
I mean, no shade to anybody who does.
Yeah.
Um, I don't.
Yeah, and I'm sure every day is probably different, but like you
Yes,
said,
it
you
is.
find things that make you happy that, like you
Mhm.
said, if there's certain foods you want to eat, you do that to like satisfy your happiness or just the
Mhm.
chaos of juggling everything. You have to find that happiness, that peace, those joyful
Yeah.
moments, whether it's, food or reality TV or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I like that. I mean, there's a bunch of different things that can help us to balance
Mhm.
everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned, your show, your reality. Sometimes people don't want to, like you said, it's like, oh, I read a book, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But
Mhm.
I like that you just mentioned, the real also, you could
Yeah.
read, you could watch TV, and there's no shame in watching some trash reality TV because it's an
Yeah.
escape. And sometimes it makes you, it's a conversation starter, and it makes you laugh or be angry or what
Yeah.
have you. I like reality TV as well. And then, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
just enjoying whatever foods that you might be craving. So all of these other
Mhm.
pieces, I don't know if we've ever really heard answers like that in terms of how do you balance. And I just love that you're just, I balance it by enjoying the things that make me happy and surrounding myself with those things.
Um, I mean, I'm always controversial about things, I guess, but this is just my thoughts on. I don't know if there necessarily is a balance
Mm-hmm.
of work, life, family. That
Right.
looks to me, if you say that there is a balance, that means that there's a balance for everyone and it looks the same.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the way I might do things to make sure things work for me may not be how you want to balance things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like for instance, when I started my internship this year, I I didn't really, and see again, I'm a Sagittarius. We're everywhere. We're always everywhere. Just boom, 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 boom. And so Sonja had to pull it back a bit, and I had to become organized. Not that I'm not organized, but I just organize in a way that I never become organized. So I had to buy a big, and it's right over here. I have a big whiteboard where I have sectioned off things that need to be done so then I can actually see them visually. So that's part of, like, I guess you could say, how I make things work. I wouldn't even almost say balance. Balance is like how I walk. Can I walk without falling? But how I make things work for me. And so that's one of the things I do to make things work for me. I can't say that it's everybody's going to be perfect, but I also truly believe in individuality, that what works for one may not work for the other. What someone's marriage looks like is what their marriage looks like, and it's none of anybody's business. As long as nobody's dying, going to jail, or losing any money, then it's none of your business. So I feel like it's all about finding what works for you. And if that works for you, and at the end of the day, you feel like accomplished, you feel, less tired or whatever, or, like there's not a mental fog, then that's great.
So Sonja, thank you so much for just sharing how you, or your perspective on balancing everything, or at least making everything work. Not necessarily using the word balance, but how you make everything work with juggling a lot. And just thank you for just sharing a little bit about Black Girl Pilates with us today, your journey and, the conference, and just creating and bringing us into this space that we weren't in before. And I think before we go, we just, we always want to give advice or tips to our audience. So for you as a, mom, as a business owner, in school, what types of advice can you give to people who may want to run a business, regardless of the business type, or just any tips that you can give as far as your journey or what you've learned along the way as a, a working mom, business owner, whichever you want to kind of give advice on?
I would say that it's okay if you don't want to run a business. But I also am of the opinion that Black people are natural entrepreneurs. We may not run a physical business, but there's always something that we are doing. It may not even turn into anything. I mean, I would go so far as to say that, and this is very transparent, but my father, who beautiful man, he was a street pharmacist.
Politically correct way to say that.
Yeah, so my dad sold drugs. However, even though what he was doing might have been detrimental for other people and was detrimental for him, he was also a businessman because he had to learn how to sell those drugs. He had to figure out who to sell to, who his audience where it was, where he was going. And just because you're selling something for the moment doesn't mean that it needs to become a business. But what can you learn from having done that? We all, people did lemonade stands, used to sell dinners at the church. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to, run a business, but what can you learn from those skills? I'm sure if you had asked all of three of us if we would be running businesses years ago, be like, child, absolutely not. I'm not trying to run no business. I'm trying to grow my kids up and, get on the next plane or whatever, but here we are and things like that. And don't feel bad if you're not running something, but actually, in all actuality, you are running a business because you're running yourself. We are our own personal business. We're selling ourselves to, to different people for, various reasons. We, if we have small children at home or children that are minors, that is a business in a different kind of way. And so we're doing it in so many different capacities that it doesn't have to be an LLC. Your name is the LLC. And that was free. Well, kind of for Black people, but I mean, that was
free-ish.
Yes, free-ish. Yeah. So yeah, that's the advice I would give to people. I always try to be very realistic about things with folks and not be so dogmatic that, that this is this and this is this and this is this and this and this.
Yeah.
But that's not realistic for just people in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned that, Sonja. Just, your transparency again in terms of what works for you to help kind of manage everything that's going on in your life, and the advice that you're giving to, anybody out there listening. I feel like it's really telling the audience, in a world where we're following social media and it seems like you should be here at a certain point in your life, or your, business or marriage or friendship should look like this. And I think that's what causes a lot of us to be unhappy and in a constant state of unhappiness, because we're striving to create this idea of what we think it should be. So I really love you touched on that it doesn't have to be what you think it is. It make whatever you need to do, make it work for you, for your life, for your own personal self. Having children, like Nicole and I are both mothers, and our daughters, your daughter is 11,
30.
Nicole? I'm sorry.
Yep, she just turned 11.
Yeah, because I know, Sonja, you said your children are older now. And, our daughters are under 15. My daughter is only 8. And so, that being a mother is just in and of itself is a business. That's running a household. Everything that Black people, Black women especially, have been doing has been a business in a sense, in terms of running the household or doing church things or what have you. So I just really love that. And we are just so thankful and appreciative of you taking the time to come and speak with us and our audience. We're so proud of all of your accomplishments, Sonja, and everything that you're doing with Black Girls Pilates, taking it down to Atlanta. And so we just really appreciate you again coming and being our first we want to call you guest, our first guest for us to interview. So thank you again, Sonja, for speaking with us today.
Yes, thank you. And it's just full circle again, because we both started around the same time. And just to have you, this is a new venture that we started. We had no podcast experience. We just wanted to get deeper with our audience. And we decided the best way to do it would be to launch a podcast, just to be able to talk, get on a personal level, and just to have you as our first guest, as we're like, this is the second to last episode of season 1. So just to have you, we're grateful. We're thankful. Thankful to still be connected with you, honestly. So that's great. And I don't know if you wanted to say anything else before we wrap and get anything else out there or share anything else about you or what you're doing, Sonja.
Well, I would.
Yes, your book.
Yes.
This is my first book that I co-authored with some amazing fitness professionals. Deconstructing the Fitness Industrial Complex. I have a chapter in there about Pilates and Blackness and all this kind of stuff like that. But there's some amazing chapters in here by some wonderful Black and brown people, queer folks. So I was honored to actually have a chapter. If you get a chance, definitely pick up this book.
Yes, I have to check it out. Where can we, I know you were probably going to say this, but where can we find it?
You can find it. Actually, you can go to my personal Instagram, the Sonja R. Price Herbert, and there is a link there where you can go and buy it. And there's also a Instagram called the Fitness Industrial Complex.
Okay.
There's an Instagram.
They have their own Instagram page.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll be sure to add those links to our description. Can I see the book again?
Yes, absolutely.
What's the title? Deconstructing the Fitness Industrial Complex: How to Resist, Disrupt, and Reclaim What It Means to Be Fit in American Culture. I love that. Disrupt. I love it.
It is the first of its kind, one of one, as the Queen Beyonce says.
Yes.
There's not a book out there like this. So I'm glad to be a part of a revolutionary book.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yes, that is so amazing. Congrats on that. And just everything. We look forward to kind of seeing what else you do next and just following your journey. And we're just so grateful. So we'll definitely share that with everyone, share the link. And thank you again. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's episode of Behind Glamourina, Moms on a Mission. We have a passion for building sisterhood through wellness and creating a safe space where all women feel like they belong.
Yes. Again, thank you to our guest, Sonja Herbert. Be sure to visit glamourina.com to shop culturally inspired activewear that reminds you that you are enough. And until next episode, stay well, tribe.